بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. This is chapter 21, verse 107. But the Holy Prophet Muhammad, the Holy Quran says, and we have not sent you except as a mercy to the people, to the nations. لَقَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ عَزِيزٌ عَلَيْهِ مَا عَنِتُّمْ حَرِيصٌ عَلَيْكُمْ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ رَءُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. This was chapter 9, verse 128. Certainly a messenger has come to you from among yourselves. Your distress is painful for him. He is anxious for you. To the believers, he is compassionate, merciful. Sadaqallahul Aliyyul Azim. I recited these two verses because in the next 2 or 3 khutbahs, I want to look at the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. This is the first one where I want to repeat because there are many non-Muslim friends who listen to these sermons and so on, and they don't know the biographical details of the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. So today I want to give those details, and then in the next 2 or 3 khutbahs I will be referring back to them. The Holy Prophet Muhammad was born in 570 Common Era, and he passed away on 8th of June 632. His mother was called Amina, and she was from Medina, and his father was called Abdullah. He was from Mecca. And some people say, a majority I would say, that his father died before he was born. But some people say his father died shortly after he was born. Now with these dates and things, I want you to remember an important thing, and that is that in those days, there was no registrar of births and deaths and marriages. So, in a way, all these dates are a little uncertain. They might be out by even a year or 2. And the other thing to remember is that when a child is born, then you don't know what significance his life is going to be. It is only later on that this is realized. So what Muslims did was they worked back from the events that they knew were happening after the Holy Prophet's contribution to humanity had been recognized. So they would say, well, this happened, and 3 years ago something else happened, and so on. So in those days, the custom was that when a child was born, he was sent out to start his life in the desert. I guess one reason for that could be that even in those days, cities were regarded as being polluted. So it was like sending out your child, your infant, to the countryside to be brought up in a healthy, clean atmosphere. And people from the desert used to come every year, and they would then take children of noblemen from Mecca into the desert and look after them. And one such lady was Halima, and she and her husband took the infant with them, and he spent the first 2 years of his life in the desert with them. And then he came back to his mother. At 6 years old, he lost his mother as well, and he was left as a complete orphan. His grandfather, that is His paternal grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, brought him up, but he too died, and then the guardianship passed on to his uncle, Abu Talib. Now, in a way, this was good because these people, Abdul Muttalib and Abu Talib, they were heads of a clan called Banu Hashim. But unfortunately, by the time the Holy Prophet was born, certainly financially, even I guess politically, Banu Hashim's fortunes were in decline. And compared to other castes and other tribes in Makkah, they were certainly not well off. Although they were, the head of the clan, for example, Abu Talib, he did command respect, being head of an important tribe in Makkah. So in his teens, the Holy Prophet would join his uncle and he would go to the neighboring countries, because most people in Makkah were traders. They would take produce from Makkah to Syria and what is now Jordan and Jerusalem and perhaps as far as Iraq, and they would sell their produce there, and in return buy things which they'll bring back and sell in Makkah. So Holy Prophet, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would join his uncle on these trips, and certainly on those trips in his teens, he would have come across Christians and Jews and so on in Jerusalem and Palestine and other places. Now, it was at that time that because of his honesty, truthfulness, and straight dealing, that he became known as Al-Amin and a Siddiq. I mean, this is amazing that someone at that early age becomes known with these titles. It was because of this that a lady in Makkah employed him as a business manager and handed over her import-export business to him. And she was a very wealthy lady, Khadija. And she was so impressed by him, by the way he handled her business, by the way he expanded it and made it successful, etc., that she asked him to marry her. And at that time, he was 25 and she was 40 years of age. And this is worth remembering, that they were happily married for nearly 25 years before Hazrat Khadija passed away. She trusted her husband so much that when the Holy Prophet Muhammad made a claim to receiving divine revelation, she did not have the slightest hesitation in accepting that claim. Now, the Holy Prophet used to retire to a cave to pray in seclusion, and it was at that time that he received this revelation. And as I said, Hazrat Khatija fully supported her husband and his mission. They followed much persecution. Muslims were few in numbers and severely persecuted. At one stage, they had to seek sanctuary on a hill on the outskirts of Medina because there was a danger that the whole community will be annihilated. The only thing that stood in the way of the annihilation of Muslim community was a custom in Arabia that if one of your tribesmen is unjustly killed, then the whole tribe is honor bound to seek vengeance. And other people, other castes and tribes in Makkah were afraid that if they killed Muslims, then because a lot of people from Banu Hashim came, they joined the Muslims, then it will lead to civil war in Makkah. So they were basically, as they say in English, sent to Coventry. And it was a hard time because trade was forbidden. They couldn't even get foodstuffs or anything. And Hazrat Khatija, because she was rich and so on, she would find food and then at night through circuitous routes, through other people, middlemen, have it delivered to Muslims. And of course there was Muslim migration to Abyssinia. And here it's worth pointing out that the first person to acknowledge the Holy Prophet's mission was Warqa bin Nawfal, who was Hazrat Khatija's cousin. When Hazrat Khatija took the Holy Prophet, and the Holy Prophet told him what had happened, he immediately said that this is an angel that brings revelation from God to prophets. But I will not live to see the day when your people will reject you and expel you from Makkah, because this is what has happened to all the prophets that have gone by. And then, of course, the Holy Prophet eventually had to migrate to Medina to seek sanctuary. And there things changed radically, because from being a preacher, he became the head of a community. So he had to deal with other communities, particularly communities of Jews and idol worshippers that were settled in Medina. He had to make treaties and give decisions as a judge, and many security issues. There was an ever increasing fear of attack from Medina, so he would have to send out scouting parties to make sure that people of Medina were safe. He had to fight battles. We know about Battle of Badr and Uhud and Battle of the Ditch and so on. And despite the fact that he had made treaties, he drafted the first constitution in history called Misaq-e-Medina, the Constitution of Medina, under which everyone who was loyal to the state was guaranteed complete freedom of propagation and practice of their religion, etc. But because people resented his claim to being a prophet, sometimes some tribes of Jews inhabiting Medina would conspire with the Quraysh to try and annihilate the Muslims. And amazingly, Within 8 years of migration from Mecca to Medina, he returned as a conquering hero. He entered Mecca without bloodshed, and he then famously called all the heads of all the clans who inhabited Mecca and asked them what they expected from him on that day. And he forgave them all. And this included the murder of Muslim men, women, etc., their torture, their persecution, everything was forgiven. And of course, 2 years later, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. But before passing away, he delivered that famous, what's called the final sermon, Akhri Khutbah, at the time of Eid al-Adha, in which he declared that the whole humanity is one people, in which he laid down for the first time in history that the white has no superiority over black and black has no superiority over white. The Arab has no superiority over non-Arab and non-Arab has no superiority over Arab. And because women throughout history have suffered persecution, etc., and violence, he gave specific instructions that women are to be protected and safeguarded by men. And as I said, 2 years after that, he passed away. I've gone through his history to show that as opposed to all other prophets, he was one person who went through everything that life has to throw at him. An orphan, without mother, without father, brought up by relatives, grandfather and uncle. He had to trade. So he was a merchant. And people say, you can't make a profit unless you lie. But isn't it amazing that while he was trading, he became known as Al-Amin, the truthful one, the honest one. Giving a lie to the people who say that you can't make money in business unless you lie. Then he was a father. He was a husband. He was a father. He was a general who led battles. He showed us how to deal with prisoners, letting them go back to their families as a sign of compassion. The point is this, that he could empathize with all of them. Any situation you mention, he could empathize and understand what that person is going through. Without criticism, I take the example of the Holy Prophet Jesus, alayhi salam. He was born in poor circumstances. He became a preacher and he preached love and so on and so forth. But he never had the opportunity to take prisoners, to fight battles, to confront tyranny in the way that the Holy Prophet Muhammad did. So, the Holy Prophet Muhammad in that. And I've raced through his life in 20 minutes to set the foundation for the next 2 or 3 khutbahs, when I'll take each aspect of his life as a husband, as a father, as a statesman, as a general, and show you how he set an example for every single person, whatever their job, whatever their position, whatever their title, and how they should behave for the benefit of humanity. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Qur'anil azim wa nafa'ana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadun kareemun malikul barraufur rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma ansur man nasara dina Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa jalla. Allahumma akhzul man khazala deena Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa la taj'alna minhum. Ibadallah rahmakumullah. Inna Allaha ya'muru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i zil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'izukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Uzkurullaha yazkurkum wad'uhu yastajib lakum wa lazikrullahi akbar. Wallahu ya'lamu ma tasna'un. Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan rasulullah. Hayya ala salah, hayya ala falah, qad qamat as-salah, qad qamat as-salah. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. ربنا. الله أكبر. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده ربنا. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. تحية. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Astagfirullah. Allahumma Rabbana atina hasanatan. Thank you for joining us for our Friday service. We usually have broadcasts at 2 p.m. UK time called Dawat Nasir Maud and Call of the Messiah at 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. on Sunday. But this Sunday I'm involved in another broadcast. So we won't be conducting those. But inshallah, we'll see you or will join us on the radio on Monday at 7 p.m. for the Darul Quran and for 7:30 p.m. for reflections on the Holy Quran. With a prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep the whole of humanity, regardless of their creed, religion, color, sect, whatever, in His protection. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and